As part of the 60th anniversary of Audio Technica, they released a 40th anniversary edition of this Soundburger. They were quite hard to get on eBay second hand, especially in good condition, and they introduced this limited edition and it sold out really quickly. But they're going to introduce another one this year, sometime in the spring they said, but it's already May, so you should be able to get these just from Audio Technica directly at some point. I might put a link down in the description box when the sales go live. So what I want to do is give you my review. I've used it a few times now, but not too many. Probably played about a dozen records, vinyls on it. And I want to give you my view of the upsides and the downsides of it. There'll be a link to Techmo's review of it because he's probably one of my favourite YouTubers and he's reviewed it thoroughly, and there's no point in me going over that. He's done it way better than I can. But I'm just going to go through some practical aspects that I think are important that you might not get from his video. So just a quick overview. It's a battery operated portable turntable, but it's not poor quality. It's actually quite good quality, and it's got a good stylus on it, and it's USB rechargeable, so it's a rechargeable battery and you can recharge it like that, and it will charge. You can power it from the mains, or you can power it just from the battery. And I'm going to take that out because it's going to get in the way otherwise. It has a line out on it and comes complete with this cable as well. So you can take, this is what I'm going to do eventually. I'm going to plug this into the back of this, and this is going to go into one of my amplifiers. And unlike the original, it doesn't have a headphone socket on it, but it does have Bluetooth. Obviously Bluetooth hadn't been invented when this first came out. It plays 33s and 45 RPM records, and I've never played a single on this, so I'm going to do that now. Of course I can't play you any of the music that I'm going to play because that's all copyrighted. So basically you pull that across there. This will come in useful in a second. You pop your record, your vinyl on there, and they suggest you put this little rubber grip on to just make sure that the record's going to spin at the right speed, because there's not much of a platter on it. Let me show you that. This is like a soft touch, that's not raised, but it's like a soft touch sort of rubber feeling thing, and the spindle turns as well, and the platter's quite deep and metal, so it does have quite a bit of mass in there, which helps keep the speed good. So they suggest putting this rubber thing on there, and it just gives a little bit extra grip to the record as well. So I'm powering it on, and if the line-in cable isn't attached, then it automatically connects to Bluetooth, but I haven't got my Bluetooth headphones out. So it's got a little stylus cover on the end, and as soon as you move that in, it starts moving the record. I'm on the wrong speed. I'll go to 45 and pop the stylus down. It's as simple as that. It doesn't have an automatic return on it, so it'll just play through the record and then just keep spinning around on the runoff area. It does sound very good when I listen on Bluetooth headphones, and I live in a sort of a mid-sized house in the UK, which is much smaller than the houses in America for the most part. And I put this in our living room, and I walked around the whole house with my what are they, Jabra Elite 3s, I think they're called, Bluetooth headsets, which I'd connected to this, and I got the signal all the way through. So even through our internal walls here, it gave me, I could walk anywhere in the house. While this was roughly central to the house, I could walk anywhere else and still get that Bluetooth signal, so that's quite handy. Now, I'm a bit out of practice in lifting needles up. I wish it had one of those levers that you could lift up, because it's quite difficult to get in there without having a lot of practice like I have. It's even more difficult on 12 inches. So let's show you that next. I took a look at these picture discs that I bought specifically for this purpose. I took a look at those in the earlier video, so if you want to look down, there'll be a card up in the top of the screen here, but also look down in the description. There'll be all sorts of related videos that you might want to watch after this. I'm not going to put this on because it spoils the effect. So essentially, putting it on there, closing the lid, there's a little catch on there that you can open. I'm going to switch it over to 33, which is the speed for 12-inch albums, and put the stylus down on the record. Now it's very susceptible to knocks, like any record player or turntable is, but obviously it's quite lightweight, so it does pick up. There's a little bit dampening in the feet, but not much. Now one problem I have, and probably because I'm out of practice, is lifting up the stylus off of here like that. I just scratch completely through the record. If you're standing up and it's on the desk like it is now, it's quite difficult to get to. So I'm sitting down now, so imagine that your record is played, and it's played all the way through to the end. It's just going to sit in the runoff area there, and to get it is quite difficult because this is quite deep. There's quite a gap there between the table and that. Now if this was a traditional full-size record player, then you'd have the case of, the plinth, if you like, of the record player there, the turntable, and it will be higher off the desk. Let me give you a better view than that. It's going to be quite difficult to do without getting my arm in the shop. I suppose what I should be doing is, when it's in the runoff area, I can just turn the power off, and that means if I do pick it up, I won't scratch the record so badly. So it's difficult to do this because of the height here. It's just over an inch, just under 3 centimeters, this gap here, and it's difficult to reach across with your finger and pick up the stylus or the tone arm or whatever you call it, and move it into a safe location. It sort of clips in there, which is quite nice. There's a little bit of resistance to put it in so it won't flap about. And that brings me on to a problem I did have with it. It's not very good at playing vinyl that is old and perhaps warped. I've got some vinyl which is quite old, and as you can probably see, it's got quite a warp on it. And on this side it's not a problem, but when I flipped it over, I'll show you what I mean. So I've turned it around now so we can get a better look at it from this angle here. I'm just going to put the tone arm towards the record now. You can see now the warp on the record is catching on that part there. And unfortunately that's a bit of a design flaw. Not that I'm criticising the designers on this, but the platter is quite flush with the surface here. And although it does step down a bit there, just for these warped records, I guess they put that step in there, it's not really enough. And I did try and sort of build this part up, so it would. I used some slip-proof matting to try and make this thicker, and it didn't really solve the problem. It solved the problem on a couple of records, but didn't really solve the problem on the most warped records. And some of my records have been very badly stored over the years. So despite those slight problems, I'm very happy with it. So now I'm going to explain who I think this is good for. I think this is good for a number of people. One of these was a Technica suggestion. Those people who enjoy buying records, you can actually take this with you with a Bluetooth headset and take it with you to test the vinyl you're buying if it's used vinyl. For me, this is the perfect turntable because I'm very limited on space, and I want to actually put this on top of one of my hi-fi systems. I've got a big Sony one, which is quite wide, but unfortunately the amp has ceased working on that. But my favourite one is a Pioneer one, which I'm showing you now. And this, I think, is going to sit very nicely on top of there. I've got very limited space where I'm going to be playing these things. And I won't be playing records that often, because they're just not as convenient as the mini discs that I had this channel for. But it would be nice to get those records that I've got, the vinyl I've got up in the loft, down from the loft, which isn't an easy thing because it's not very easy access, and play those for nostalgia purposes. But also I'm going to be making use of this cable, and I'll be ripping them to MP3 probably, and also burning them to mini disc to make it a lot easier to listen to on the move. Okay, to summarise, if you're a vinyl enthusiast, then you already know what I'm going to say here. The only reason you should buy this is if you want a portable turntable that you can use to play your used vinyl on site where you're buying it from. But if you're a casual listener to vinyl, or records as they're correctly known, then this would be perfect if you're limited on space. I think it's better than a lot of the very cheap turntables and record players you can buy nowadays, but it's probably not as good as having a proper old style vintage record player, a proper hi-fi one, if you've got the space and amplifiers to do it. So that's the end of my short unscripted review of the Audio Technica Soundburger. If you have a look in the description box, you'll find links to related videos, including the Techmone one and my unboxing of this. And when it goes on sale, I'll try and put some current links on where you can buy this in the description box as well. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.